Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash-flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right, we are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys are having a great week, a great day, wherever you are and whatever day it is for you. As always on the podcast, it is Friday, so we're bringing that good Friday energy to you. This is going to be an interesting episode. We got Brian Truman with us on the podcast here from SVN Excel Group. Brian buys multi-tenant industrial, multifamily. He also is a broker specializing in multifamily, and he brokers the sale of businesses as well. So maybe we can hop into that topic a little bit. We rarely talk about anything but real estate here, but I'm always interested in that side of things. So Brian, I'm excited to jump into it. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. I told you before we got on here, we always like to start with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. Yeah. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us how you got here?
Well, the beginning on the buy side is back in 06, 08. You know, everybody knows those years. I happened to be in corporate America at that time and had some extra cash, and somebody was telling me, hey, real estate is something you ought to invest in. And so, you know, at that time, I went and bought a couple of apartment complexes and didn't know really anything about real estate, you know. So I wish I knew back then what I knew now. So on the investing side, that's kind of where I got started. And then, you know, fast forward to basically 10 years ago, I had exited out of a business and then was trying to decide what to do. And my wife happened to be a former commercial real estate appraiser and had, as the appraisers say, she went to the dark side and became a broker. And so she said, hey, why don't you get your real estate license and come and join me? And so I had my license all of maybe a month, 6 weeks. And I got a call on a Saturday night about 6:30, is right before Christmas. My wife and I are going out to dinner, from a gentleman. And he said, hey, I'm in a real pickle. I've got until midnight tonight to identify 3 properties for my 1031 exchange. And I was like,
talk about leaving until the last minute.
Yeah. You know, and this is 6:30 at night. And you know, so again, you know, and I'm new into real estate. And so I said, what do you want to buy? And he says, I want to buy multifamily. And I said, okay. So then I just quickly thought of a guy that I went to real estate school with. When I told him I was going to be doing commercial, he had mentioned that his stepfather had 5 apartment complexes. So I told this gentleman, I was like, hey, give me 15 minutes. So I immediately called this gentleman I went through school with and said, hey, you said your stepfather had five properties. Is he interested in selling 1, 2, 3, any of them? And he said the same thing to me. He's like, give me 15 minutes. I'll call you back. So he called me back in about 10 minutes. And he said, yeah, he's got 3 of them. And so I said, well, can you send me the addresses, the information on them? Which he did. And then I called this gentleman back and said, hey, I'm going to be texting you the address, all the contact information, address, everything on these properties. So then you can let your 1031 intermediary, you know about it. And so that's what I did. And we put offers in on those, went under contract. Right after the first of the year, he came out to come and do the interviews. And I told him, you know, being a good broker, I said, hey, I'll pick you up at the airport. And he said, well, you'll have to come to the private airport because I don't fly commercial. And I was like, whoa, okay. So who am I dealing with here, you know? Anyway, we put the offers. He ended up purchasing them. Come to find out, he puts on a big event for real estate investors, and he invited us to come. This is shortly after this transaction come out, and when we did, he put me right on the front row, and he told his rags to riches story and said, "Hey, this is how this is what I have done. I own these properties in Tennessee now, and by the way, my Tennessee realtor's here." And he's like, "Hey, Brian, can you stand up?" And this is right before lunchtime. And so we go to lunch, or he's announcing lunch, and there was like 1,500 people there. And I tell people that's the closest I would know of what it would be to be famous, because as soon as he said lunch break, I got mobbed by all kinds of people, because he had said, "Hey, if you want to buy in Tennessee, like myself and then Grant Cardone and a bunch of other people, this is the guy you need to contact." And so I sat there for an hour and a half and answered questions, and came back with hundreds of contacts with people that wanted multifamily. So I tell you that story, and you said you like stories, is because everybody has an origin story, and everybody asks me, "How did you get into selling multifamily?" Well, that's how I got into it, right? I mean, you talk about lucky, fortunate, blessed, whatever. It happened to where, boom, within months, I had more buyers than I knew what to, obviously knew what to do with.
Yeah.
And so it was learning on the fly, jumping with both feet, just trying to understand the whole multifamily space and world, and, everything about it. But yeah, that's how I got into, and I've done multifamily ever since, 10 years now. So.
Yeah, I love that story because it goes, I mean, there's two things that I'm really pulling from it. One, you never know what's going to happen around the corner. You just got to put yourself out there. And
Yep.
two, relationships are key, especially in real estate. You don't know what's going to happen. Relationships, if you just keep developing them, keep being friends with people, keep connecting with people, things come out of those relationships. And you don't really have to be, you don't have to be so aggressive about it. You just have to have those relationships there. And eventually through conversation, things will happen. You happen to meet this guy and be put in the right connection. And then you started to get deals done, and one thing led to another. And so I've heard that same type of story so many times where it was just the right connection, right time. And it led to a big windfall. So I love to hear that.
Yeah. And you're so correct on the relationship thing, because, I often tell my agents, the way to the many is through the one. And this one gentleman has introduced us to so many people that it's unbelievable. But it's all a relationship game. Real estate is, and I tell people, don't be, our agents, it's like, don't be transactional. You got to be relational. That's the way you're going to be successful, and that's how you're going to beat your competition.
So that's how you got into multifamily, and you started buying and brokering multifamily properties. But you also have been doing businesses, and this is Real Estate Investing Club. We only talk about real estate, but I gotta ask about the business brokerage side, because we haven't had somebody on who has brokered businesses.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, between buying businesses and buying real estate, which of the two do you prefer?
Actually, man, that's a tough question. I love brokering. I love doing any kind of deals, whether it's real estate or that. I love buying, multifamily, and brokering deals for, clients and that. But I do tell you, I absolutely thoroughly enjoy the business brokerage side. And I got into
do you
that.
Specialize? Do you specialize in a specific type of business, or is it just
anything under 15 million in
Okay.
revenue?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming I mean, you're talking like HVAC companies, laundromats. I mean, just go down the line, CPA.
Small manufacturing companies, custom cabinet companies, company that makes all the glass for the big high rises that are being built in Nashville, and just could be a restaurant, as small as a restaurant, or a flower shop, but as big as some of these industrial or manufacturing companies. So
Nice.
everything in between. I came out of corporate America and was like, what do I do next? I started this business brokerage company from scratch, and within, that was in 2011. Then 2016, I had somebody approach me and want to buy it because
By
I had
the business.
buy my business brokerage act, because I had taken it from scratch to by 2016.
I never understand, and I don't mean to jump in here, but I never understand why people want to buy brokerages, because a brokerage it really is just relationships. I mean, there are systems and processes, but you can't buy relationships. That's not how that works. And so whenever somebody says they want to buy a brokerage, I'm just like, why not just go out there and create relationships? I don't understand. Yeah. To tell a little bit about that. Why?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. That's why when they contacted me, I'm like, you sure? I said, so much of what you're going to be buying is that the relationships I have built, right?
Yeah.
From that. So yeah, and so I told them my business is always for sale for the right price. They got to the right price. I signed over ownership, signed a 3-year non-compete. This is back in 16. When that 3 years was up, I just started back up again. So to your point, right? Why do people buy them? Because 3 years later, I've started back up, and we're going gangbusters just like we was before. So.
And I'm assuming the process, the process for brokering real estate is the same as the process for brokering businesses. Is you just reach out to the owners and you say, hey, we broker businesses, we broker real estate. We'd love to represent you. Are you interested in selling? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And I just tell people we're like the eHarmony of business brokerage. We make the connection.
I love it. All right, let's turn back to real estate. We got to take a little bit of a side street there into business. But so you do commercial or multifamily. You also do multi-tenant industrial. That is an asset class that I've had my eye on. I buy mobile home parks, RV parks, self-storage facilities. And I've been trying to, say no to the shiny object syndrome because I love all types of real estate, and I've been trying to just focus in on what I'm good at. But multi-tenant is one of those ones that keeps knocking at the door and wanting me not to do the shiny object thing, or want me to go towards the shiny object. So tell me about it. Why multi-tenant? Why'd you get into it? And what do you like about it?
Well, I will agree with your statement first about the shiny objects, right? We all see too many clients that this is the next shiny object, and I keep telling them, no, you got to focus on 2 or 3 asset classes and just stay there. I like multi-tenant industrial from the standpoint here, particularly here in Nashville. There's so little of it that when it does become available, or if it is, I like it. Number one, there's a need for it here. Number two is that, it basically really is one of those asset classes that is mailbox money, because it's all triple net. Your tenants usually sign, or many of them sign 10-year lease. They're not the kind of tenants that, it's not a smoke shop or a vape shop or, something that's going to go out of business. Your tenants are like you say, HVAC companies, and these that are going to be around a long, long time, right? And it's all triple net, from that standpoint. And, it can be anywhere from, flex space of 2,500 square feet to, up to 5,000 or 6,000, depending on, what you want to do with it. And they sign long-term leases, and, you just sit back and, collect the money, from that standpoint. And so I was introduced to it way back when I first got into real estate 10 years ago by a gentleman that was speaking at a conference. He was an economics professor at Texas A&M, and he was telling us that attended that probably 75-80% of all of his investments were multi-tenant industrial. Right. So I was like, okay, if this guy's doing this, why is this? What is it about it? Right. And, and the thing is, I like it because if you build it or if you're repurposing it, you don't need a lot, because these flex spaces, whether they're 2,500 square feet or 5,000,
It's
you need,
mostly just space. It's like
yeah,
a self-storage unit.
it's like, okay, you have a reception, you have a couple of offices, maybe a conference room. Then the rest of it is all warehouse space with a roll-up door in the back. That's it. There's not a lot to them, but yet they're in such a big need. And here people ask me, hey, I got this money. What do you think I ought to do with it? I said, well, if you don't want to invest it, build some of this multi-tenant industrial stuff, because I guarantee you'll have it all leased up before you even have it finally, finished, built.
I've heard. So I can't say that I'm very versed on the space, but from the people that I've been speaking to in industrial, it sounds like it has been overbuilt in most markets, at least what's coming online. And so, do you feel like that's the case in Nashville, or is that?
No. It's still in huge need here.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That flex space and the multi-tenant stuff here. So we have, we've sold a couple of older warehouse buildings that they're basically repurposing. They're taking this, these that are 30,000-40,000 square feet, and then just
turning them into small bay.
Yeah, just making the small bay space out of them, right? I mean, there's small bay conferences popping up all over now, right?
Yeah.
A few years ago, you never heard of that, right?
There's actually there's this really huge warehouse here in Tacoma that is just run down. You can tell it's not being used, and it's just sitting there in this great location. And I keep telling myself I need to find the owner, call him, and get him an offer, because it would be great turned into something like that. But that's
we had, because the fact that there's certain areas here that in Nashville that just are in such need of it that if we can find anything that we can repurpose, then that's what we're doing, and recommending that people do.
So we are running down the clock. We're almost at the 20-minute mark. So I do like to ask, it sounds like your specialty, I mean, you specialize in a lot of things, but it sounds like your skill, the thing that you are really good at, is developing relationships and making sure that network is in place. What tips and suggestions can you give people who want to create a brokerage business or really create or develop their network over time? What tips can you give them for doing that?
Being relational, get in rooms with people that think much bigger than you. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. And be a creative problem solver.
So do you, and just kind of thinking of tactful or tactics, there we go, that you can actually implement, somebody can implement in their life? Or do you go to conferences? Do you, I mean, I'm sure you're cold calling and just calling people up, but how do you usually initiate and then develop those relationships?
Yeah, the cold calling, and then I hit as many events, networking groups out there, different conferences that I can, and just again build those relationships.
Yep.
I mean, we had I'm on the board of a networking, a big national networking group, and we had Bob Knackel from out of New York come and speak. I don't know if you were aware of who he is, but it was interesting because he said that was his 200th different networking event that he has attended this year. Right?
It's a year? Now, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, I'm not that active, but the point is, I mean, this guy sells billions and billions of real estate a year, right? And And, he's like, yeah, this is, it's all a relationship game.
Yeah.
To your,
Yeah. That's one thing that I've been meaning to do more of in my career. And I'm just really bad at it, but, go out to conferences more. I usually get to maybe one a year, but it would be great to do at least one a quarter. Go to the SSA, the self storage conference, the mobile home park conferences, those ones, but I haven't done it, but maybe this is the kick in the pants that I need to actually get on that.
Yeah, and I'll go back to the whole thing and that's why I say, the way to the many is through the one. You don't know what one person is going to introduce you to so many people. And the other thing I tell people is you don't need more money, you need more people because the people have the money.
There we go. I like that. That's quotable right there. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to push us on to the quick question round. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. It starts with education. It could be any form. I'm actually, since we've been talking about conference, I'm going to force you to choose a conference here. So give me one conference that you would recommend people absolutely go to, in their real estate career.
NMHC, National Multifamily Housing Conference.
Nice. And that is
Vegas, the end of January.
Nice. And that's once per year, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Usually I let people say books or anything, but we've been talking about conferences and that's a really good suggestion. So we're going to go with it. Next question is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Brian who was still in the corporate world so many years ago. Go to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward. Hey guys, quick break from the show. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know we are always talking about how important it is to have the right mentors and partners in real estate, which is exactly why I've opened up the Real Estate Investing Club online community. It's a place for active investors to learn, collaborate, and get real deals done together. And right now, it is 100% free to join. We host weekly calls where we review deals, talk strategy, and share tactics. Just click the link in the description below and come join us.
Don't let fear keep you from investing.
I like that. Don't let fear keep you. Nobody's actually said that yet. Don't let fear stop you. But it is great advice and something that is, can often be masked by over analyzing things. At least that's what I do. If I'm nervous about something, then I just tend to just analyze the shit out of it until
you get paralysis by analysis. Yeah, from there. But you've probably heard the comment too, right? Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And I think to me, that's the biggest thing I see is fear. Fear keeps people from becoming the best version of themselves. And whether that's financially wise or any other wise.
Yep. I love it. All right. Next question is about the U.S. It is a big place. There is a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro. And if you're going to say Nashville, give me the single area of Nashville that you're most excited about investing in today.
I would say Nashville for a lot of different reasons, but I would say some of the tertiary markets in Nashville are the best buys in the country.
Well, give me one of those.
So I would say something like Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Okay.
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Isn't Murfreesboro? Isn't that that's fairly far from Nashville, isn't it? Is that
it's or maybe 45-minute drive?
Oh, okay. Yeah, my Tennessee map is not updated, so I like it. All right, next question is about finding deals. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller and penning that purchase agreement. So what is your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
I'm still big on cold calling.
Do you do it yourself or do you hire VAs to do it for you?
I do it myself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, at least 2 hours a day.
Really? 2 hours a day? I like that. So that's
even now. So
do you do it in the morning, in the afternoon? Like when, how do you put it into your schedule?
I usually do it either, I'll switch up. I'll either do it first thing in the morning or I'll do it the end of the day.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, I like calls at the end of the day because then if I do it in the morning, that's the time that I need to like focus things done.
Mhm.
And if I try to focus later in the day, it just does not work. But I can talk and
Well,
shoot the shit
yeah.
any time of the day.
Well, and what I've found is people are more willing to talk to you the end of the day
Oh, okay.
because it's it's the end of the day. They're kind of through all of everything else that they've done for their day. They're a little more, I wouldn't say worn out, so they're a little easier to get a conversation going
Yeah. Yeah.
with
I
than most.
remember I saw an infographic earlier. Like Harvard did a study on cold calling and the best times or the times when you're most likely to get somebody to pick up the phone. And you guys are gonna have to Google it because I don't remember the actual time, but I want to say it was between like 6 and 7 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah,
But don't quote me on it. No, look
yeah,
it up. It is out there.
yeah, yeah. Really, between like 4 and 7 are the best times
Yeah, yeah, that
by
makes
all the
sense.
studies. Yeah.
All right, next question is about lessons learned. Not every deal we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, pretty much every time something is going to go wrong and we get to learn a lesson. So, what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you? And then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
Well, the biggest lesson, and this goes back to something I said earlier, and this is what I when I'm interviewing agents that want to come and work for us, I talk to them about, okay, tell me a deal where it's went sideways. How did you do it? But and the reason why I ask that question is to me the biggest trait a agent can have is be a creative problem solver, right?
Yep.
If they can think through, and basically think of every possible solution to get that deal done and not just say, oh man, this is not going to happen, so they just give up on it,
Yeah.
right? If I tell them, if you've got to think of every possible angle to get that deal done. And the other thing is if you have a willing buyer and a willing seller, you can find a way to get that deal done,
Yeah.
but
It's
you have
funny.
to be the one that leads it.
It's funny you say that because I'm selling a couple properties that I own right now, and I'm actually the difficult seller because of taxes and all this stuff. I know I am, but it's fine. But the broker that I've known him for a long time,
Yeah.
and he's awesome. He's really good at coming up with solutions and working between the parties, and he's been coming up with unique things, creative things that we can do to get the deal done where both parties are satisfied. So it just reminds me, there's always a solution, and if two people are willing, then you just got to find something that works for both parties and get it there. So I really like that.
Yeah.
All right, next question. I'm not sure if this is relevant to you, but I'm going to ask it anyways. I am a huge proponent of AI. I've been trying to implement it in as many places I responsibly can in my business. So, is AI something you are using in your business? And if so, how are you doing it? How can you suggest people do it in their own?
Yeah, I use AI and Chat GBT all the time. Whether it's even responding to emails, you know, um, writes my posts for LinkedIn. Yeah, I try to post every day. It's what I use.
Yeah.
But everything from you know reviewing contracts. I mean, there's probably not an aspect in brokerage where I don't use it.
Nice. And give me so just typing into ChatGPT is one thing, but give me like a process that you can say. Like for instance, like you mentioned LinkedIn. The way I do that is I usually just dictate into LinkedIn or into ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm going to write a post, turn this into a post, what I'm going to say into a post, and then it will take my word vomit and turn it into something that's legible. What is the process that you do?
Yeah, very like that. But the more that you can tell it what you want to do it in, what say, and I will say, okay, make this in a, write it as a broker, in a very personal, style. And the more information you can feed into it of how you want it, the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
And whether it's a LinkedIn post or whether it's, or whether it's, it's like I will feed into it like an email if I'm writing an email back to somebody, because it helps take out the emotion.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, okay, write this.
Oh, that's a good point.
Here,
Yeah. Especially if you're angry about something.
exactly. Because, and I'll say, make this, take the emotion out of this, but have it be very firm with it about this point.
Yeah. I like
right?
that.
Because I tend to be a little bit emotional. And so, it's definitely helped me when it comes to, responding to like say emails, anything like that.
Yeah. That's a good use and something I haven't heard yet, but I feel like it makes a lot of sense, especially if you're writing, if you're in a heated moment and you're writing or responding to an email that is charged. If you can take that charge out with ChatGPT, it just makes the relationship better. And like we're talking about, relationships are everything.
Yeah.
You don't want to ruin any relationship. So just taking that charge out of the email, that's a good use for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I started doing that on emails probably about a year ago, and it has totally changed, responses.
Yeah.
Because then they come across seeing that you're the one that has the emotional intelligence that maybe they didn't when they first sent it to you, and they're like, okay. And then you get a response back that is kind of what you were expecting, you wanted.
Yeah. Nice. All right. That leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. Where can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. And then secondly, I'm kind of have the reputation as the broker who actually answers his phone when somebody calls me. So they're willing to call me, 615-260-2121. That's my cell number. You can call me 8:00 at night. I'll be answering the phone. So.
Awesome. Well, I will put your links as well as your phone number in the show notes. So if you guys want to reach out, all you got to do is click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description, and in there you can find Brian's links. Yeah. All right, man. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. It's been great.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe, at realestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review or a comment or whatever. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.